Hi, I'm Seamless, and today is Tuesday, which means it's time for a new sound design request recap. Recap. If you're not familiar with what I'm doing, this is a live stream that I do on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST, where I take sound design requests. And I did a whole bunch, and these are the ones I got. Some of them were on point, some of them were not so much, but I hopefully what I did here could be helpful for you if you want to actually, learn how to do some similar things. The FOP for this will be in the description for your download, and hope you had fun with this. So the first sound is this. I forgot already who made this, but it's a pretty common sound, and this is essentially you make a kind of a harmonic mess, like I did here. And what this is it's oscillator 2 is FMing oscillator 1, but with all this stuff going on, and then randomized phases to just make randomized phases. There's also a bit of reverb and a tiny bit of chorus in the effects, and then it's going into a flanger. The flanger is what's causing all the things to happen. Actually, a bit of a bug right now where if I try and mess with it while I'm playing, it'll crash, so I'm not going to touch any of the controls. But essentially, I'm automating the delay with depth all the way off, and things are just kind of where they are. I don't really know why they are where they are, but they just are. That's pretty cool. There's a limiter to keep it in check because they get kind of loud. There's not much else to that sound. This was me trying to make an excore sound, and I kind of failed pretty hard, especially given how hard I tried. So you see, it's a bit complex. What this is this is a pretty common RM thing. What I've got going on here is I have a higher harmonic, a really high sine wave, and I'm modulating it by a bass level sine wave. Only I tensioned it a bit out to make it kind of closer to a square wave, but not 100% to a square wave, to give it a little bit more sharpness. And then I ring modulated it by operator 3, which is set to this pretty standard shape of half an even of a sine wave. And I'm modulating 1, which is not 2, which is normally what I do when I'll modulate the FM oscillator. I am RMing 1, which is causing it to go away completely when it gets remodulated. That's why I am also entering in another sine wave beneath it to be the actual bass, and then also a little tiniest bit of noise oscillator. This is going into an EQ. Just got a big old peak in it to try and make that particular texture come through. It's being distorted with just a shape that I made. And here's me trying to make Formant control. And I am automating X and Y, where X controls. Am I automating Y? I activated Y, but I'm not actually automating it. X controls these bandpass filters. Now, you can kind of see that what's happening is that they start in a position and then they go up, out, wide out. And you can see in this EQ right here, kind of what that shape creates. And that creates a pretty regular Formant-y sounding thing. It's like the most basic Formant filter thing you could possibly do. And it's pretty much the only thing that I have any kind of command over in terms of Formant filtering, because I'm not very good at it. And I have a third one on top trying to do something to make it sound more unique, and it's not super working. The resonance changes also over time for some of these. Nope, no, it doesn't. The resonance is altered just on time to make it work. And then beneath that, there's also a layer of the normal one coming in. This is, right in this area is where the Formant-y kind of stuff kind of lives. But if I were to have only the Formant-y stuff, well, it honestly actually works better. I didn't anticipate that, so I'm gonna keep that there. Never mind then. Forget whatever the fuck that's for. And then another EQ to kind of set. That's actually the previous EQ there. I put a whole bunch of EQs everywhere, mostly because I want to change EQs before distortion, but also so I can analyze what I'm doing while I'm doing it. This is me attempting to insert a band stop filter at one point, and then also a low pass filter. What am I doing with this? Oh yeah, this is that actually makes a lot of sense that this is here doing that. Well, it kind of fucked up, but it worked out anyway. I'm crossfading volume between filters 1 and 2, and filter 1 is a band stop filter to kind of create a big old hole for a moment. Where this is me trying to directly mimic what the original sound was, which was the excore song. I don't remember which excore track it was, but he does a lot of this kind of stuff. So although you wouldn't know what sound I was trying to do because I'm honestly not that close to it. Yeah. More of an analysis EQ here. And then this wave shaper, this shape, which is the waveform type on the sine side, is what's creating that kind of wet-ish thing going on near the end there. And then there's a high pass, a separate sub, and it's just being compressed, although it's mostly just limiting to bring it all together. And then that's what this was. Now, this sound is fun because as hard as I tried doing it, the person who suggested it actually figured out on their own later that they got the sound just by having a square wave layered by a distorted cymbal. Now, I have found that for most death step-ish bass for songs and stuff like that, that a lot of people tend to be distorting like real sounds like machine guns or cymbals, that kind of thing. I, however, like to do everything from scratch with synthesis, so whatever. This is as far as I got, though, and this was kind of hard to get there. Oops. So what this is a noise oscillator, and what was the sine wave, and a bunch of individual harmonics with different phases that chose to try and mimic the kind of tone that it created. Going into some filters, they're all off. None of them are wave shaping. They're kind of just here. The individual volume. I could have done this with the regular oscillators, but I did this originally because I thought I was actually going to use the filter, and I'm not doing that. EQ to kind of merge it a little bit, as you can see, it's kind of quiet, and then just an unbelievable amount of distortion. Like this honestly is like what I did when I want to make like a noise distortion, and then I started that again, which brought out the bass aspects of it because the bass frequency sine waves do survive that kind of crazy distortion. More tastes, and then reverb, like really short, but really loud, and the kind of wide reverb with like no dampening. To get that metallic kind of sound. And then limiting to bring it back because it's extremely loud. This is a saxophone. I made this much like the Seinfeld bass that I made. Ignore what I'm doing here. I just ignore all that. Actually, I guess I want to... Yeah. So what I did here is I went to the local EQ and I manually carved out the frequency profile matching what the frequency profile is of the sound that I was mimicking, which was very clearly a poorly sampled saxophone. Although on purpose, because it did kind of fit the Melbourne bouncy track that it was. And then in the filter, it opens up, which actually, if you do that a lot on just regular saws, you get kind of a brassy thing because it kind of sounds like a trumpet when you do like that. And this kind of sounds the way it does. And that's pretty much all there is to this sound. This was like an electro bass. There's actually some automation that I have on here that I didn't do. Where is it? Basically opens and closes particular frequencies. I didn't really do a wonderful job with this one, and this is because of my relative inexperience with Love Filter. Like, Love Filter as a concept makes some sense, but some things happen that I don't totally understand. And that hindered my usage of it today when I was trying to get to do interesting things that I would normally do with like the EQ and stuff like that. But I decided to try to use the filter. That may or may not have been a bad call. But the underlying principle of it is really simple. It's a saw wave. I didn't even do the noise. Like what I was gonna do was this. But I just left that there and then ring modulated it with the shape like this, which is caused again by the half and even and then a bunch of alterations of some skew and tension and stuff like that to create the real sharpness of all that. And that ringy business is from the distortion. The distortion is causing that. Although I'm not totally sure why, because I have distorted similar sounds before without much of that ever happening. Maybe there's some artifact coming out of the filter plugin. I don't know. It's kind of neat, but that's kind of weird. What's this guy? What is this guy? Oh, this is me trying to do the basic massive scream filter bass with Harmer. Yeah, I kind of failed, but I wanted to give it a shot because I knew the sound was very clearly the scream filter and Harmer are massive, but I just didn't want to do that. That's a low pass unison square. I don't need to show you what that is. Now, I tried a bunch of other stuff. Like, this one was me trying to make a fractal sound from Contact. The track actually just recently came out. Again, the lack of understanding of Formant filtering made that kind of a difficulty. What's this guy? Oh yeah, this is a lead. Kind of an organish thing. Basically just a saw wave that's low passed a lot, but then I emphasized the octaves of the harmonics. So it's basically a 3-octave sine wave. But it is still basically a saw wave. Reverb and limiting compression because it does peak because it's very loud, but you can just turn it down if you don't want to do that. And then I went ham and made a weird Reese. This is a phase word, which is built by using the detune to create the wobble, and then messing with a bunch of phase business to create an interesting profile that causes a lot of movement when it does wobble. In this case, local EQ, bunch of weird shit. Harmonic phase, the wave type to change the phase everywhere. Harmonic prism, really dense, and the multiply mode, which add mode and multiply mode are kind of like the hertz versus octave mode of prism. And that's what that was. Use a pitch like this, comes all the way down. I also mess around with the actual profile, the units of pitch thickness. Yeah, that's about it. And, oh yeah, the prism's also being automated off really fast. That's just creating this weird intro looking thing here on the on-side of the sound is the primary of the prism. It's also on the square side. And the harmonizer's on, which is why even though it's on the square side, it still kind of sounds soggy because some of the harmonics that were gone are being replaced by the copying from the lower registers. And that's all of that. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Again, this FLP will be available for download in the description in this video. And if you have any questions about it, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day.